Hello, it's Miss Ruiz here again. I told you guys I would make a video showing you the answers to the study guide so you can be better prepared for the test. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the side that has 1.4 at the top. It's labeled page 2. And I'll go through all of the problems and the solutions. If you have any questions, hit me up on Remind, okay? All right, so the first one is done for us. It says Jeremy is fishing from a dock. He starts with the bait 2 feet below the surface of the water. We've talked about that. That's going to be a -2. He lowers the bait 9 feet, so it goes down another 9, so that's -9, and then raises it 3 feet. That's going to be a +3. What is the final position of the bait relative to the surface of the water? So in this example that they've done for you, they're showing we've got -2 minus 9 plus 3, and that gives you a -8. And the answer is given as the integer 8 feet below the surface. The word below the surface, when you're putting this in my HRW, by now we should know because we've done so many of these on my HRW, but when we see the word below, that is taking place for the negative sign in the last box when it gives you those 3 boxes. So just to recap that, remember they're going to ask you to write an expression. This is the expression that they gave us in this problem. I would write it as adding all of the integers together. So the way I've taught you to do it is we'll start off at -2, and so then I'm going to add, he went down 9, so it's just like adding the opposite down here. Okay, so adding the opposite there, I'd add the -9, and then plus 3. Okay. Remember, when you're doing these problems and your expression has 3 numbers, you always want to add together the 2 that are the same sign. So a -2 and a -9 is going to give me that -11. Bring down the plus and the 3, that's what's left in the problem, and look at your new problem to make sure you're using the correct algorithm. So we've talked about this a lot in class, guys. You want to make sure that you're looking at what the new problem is. This is an addition problem where my signs are different. So when the signs are different, you subtract the 2 numbers. 11 minus 3, that's how we get the 8. And it's negative because -11 has a larger absolute value. Okay? Let's go on to the next one. It says, Rita earned 20 points on a quiz. She lost 5 points for poor penmanship, then earned 10 points of extra credit. What is Rita's final score on the quiz? So for this one, I'm going to, as I always do, add all of the terms together. So I'll have a +20 plus a -5. She lost the 5 points. Then we're going to add the 10 points she earned for extra credit. I'm going to add together the 2 numbers of the same sign. So I have a +20 and a +10. The +20 and a +10 are going to give me a +30. I then need to add on what's left in the problem. There is a plus. -5 is left in the problem. I'm doing an addition problem now where my signs are different. You're going to subtract 30 minus 5 is going to give you 25. And it's going to be positive because 30 is positive. It's got the larger absolute value. So your final answer is just going to be 25 points for number 2. Okay. For number 3, I'm going to use the side here to try to write a little bit better. So for number 3 here, I have -7 plus 1 plus 5. So I'm going to, let me see if I can make a little smaller. Okay, I'm going to start with the two numbers of the same sign. So I have a +1 and a +5. That's going to give me a +6. I'm just going to bring down the -7 so I can take a look at the new problem that I have. I have -7 plus 6. My signs are different, so I'd subtract them. 7 minus 6 equals 1. The 7 is the larger value, so it takes the negative of the 7. My answer is -1. And they've already done that one for you. Okay. Let's take a look at number 4. So for number 4, they're all being subtracted. So remember, we're going to add the opposite. I'm going to rewrite my expression so I can add the opposite. I'm going to do it up here. So I have some more space. So we have -5 plus, that's going to turn into a -9. I'm adding the opposite. And then here plus a -10. Okay. So remember, we are adding the opposite. If you need to see that right under here, I'll show you what I did. I added the opposite. Plus. Okay. So if you want to make sure when you see that subtraction sign, you're changing subtraction to addition and then the opposite of the next number. Okay, so how am I going to solve this? Well, look, all 3 of the numbers are negatives. So I can just add them and the answer is going to be negative. So let's see, what can I group here together? I've got a -5 and a -9 and a -10. Well, if I add all 3 of those together, I'm going to have a -24. Okay, that's going to be my final answer. Just going to add the 3 numbers. Since all 3 of them are negative, your answer is also going to be negative. Signs are the same. Add them and keep the sign. Okay, number 5. I see I have a subtraction here, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. 40 plus -30, -30 plus 10. Okay. So I see that I have a +40 and a +10. So if I do those two together first, 40 plus 10 is going to give me a 50. So I just did the 10 and the 40 together. And then I'm going to bring down what's left in the problem. There's a plus -30. And 50 is positive, the 30 is negative. My signs are different, so I subtract 50 minus 30. That's going to give me 20. And you use the sign of the larger value, absolute value, which would be the positive 50 is carrying the positive sign, so my answer will carry the positive sign. For number 6, I see that I have a +2 and a +8. I'm going to put those two together first, and that's going to give me a +10. Here's a subtraction, so I'm going to add the opposite. My signs are different. When they're different, you subtract them and use the sign of the larger number. So 19 minus 10 is going to give you a 9. And since the 19 has the larger absolute value, it's negative, so my answer will also be negative. Number 7, we've got -12 plus 14 plus 6. So I'm going to add together, start with the 2 that have the same sign. The 14 and the 6 are both positive, and they're going to equal a +20. Bring down the -12 so you can look at your new problem. I have -12 plus 20. This is an addition problem, and my signs are different, so you subtract 20 minus 12 equals 8, and use the sign of the larger absolute value. The 12 is negative, 20 is positive, 20 has a larger absolute value. Your answer will be positive like the 20. And the last one for this group, we have a +50 and a +60. So I'm going to do those two together. That would give me 110 positive. We're subtracting 10, so I'm going to add the opposite. We're adding a -10. Signs are different, so you subtract 110 minus 10 is going to give you 100. And 110 is the larger absolute value. It's positive, therefore the answer will be positive. All right. So on 9 and 10, we're comparing the expressions. We're going to say if they're greater than, less than, or equal to. And in order to do that, you have to simplify the expressions or solve them. So Let's go. We've got here negative 20 plus 5 minus 10. So I have enough space here. Okay, so I changed the subtraction to addition. I added the opposite there. And so now I'm going to solve this. I have a negative 10 and a negative 20. They both are carrying a negative sign. So I'm going to combine those two together first. That's going to give me a negative 30. Okay, so that's the negative 20 plus the negative 10. And then what's left in the problem is still this positive 5. And negative 30 and a positive 5, if I add those two together, well, the signs are different. So I'm going to subtract them. 30 minus 5 is 25. And use the sign of the larger absolute value, which in this case would be negative. Okay, so this side of the problem is going to end in a negative 25. And I'll solve the other side now. So we have negative 10 plus negative 11 plus 30. Okay. The two that have the same sign are the two negatives. So 10 plus 11 is going to give me a negative 21 plus 30. Subtract them because the signs are different. So 30 minus 21 is going to equal 9. And the larger absolute value is positive. So on here we have a negative 25 and here I have a positive 9. The positive 9 is the larger value. Right? A positive number will always be larger than a negative number. All righty. Next, for number 10, rewrite the expression. I'm going to add the two numbers with the same sign. So negative 10 plus a negative 5 are going to give me a negative 15. And I still have the plus 40 in the middle. And so negative 15 plus 40, signs are different. So you subtract them and use the sign of the larger absolute value. 40 minus 15 is going to give me a positive 25 for this side. This side here, I'm going to do the same thing. The 25 and the 3 are both positive. So if I add 25 plus 3, that's going to give me 28. Plus this negative 15 is still there. Now my signs are different. Subtract them. 28 minus 15 is going to give me 13. And it's positive because the 28 is positive. So the two numbers I'm comparing are 25 and 13. 25 is the larger value. It's greater than. Okay, and the last one on this side, Angela is competing in a dance competition. If a dance move is done correctly, the dancer earns points. If a dance move is done incorrectly, the dancer loses points. Angela currently has 200 points. Angela then loses 30 points and earns 70 points. Write and evaluate an expression to find Angela's final score. So I'll just mention it again because I get the question so often. When we're asked to write an expression in my HRW, they want to see you forming the problem. So in this case, we've got, she currently has 200 points, so it's a positive 200. And then we're going to add, so that was the 200. Then we're going to add where she loses the 30 points. So that's going to be a negative 30. And then I'm going to add to that whatever happens next, which is an earning of 70 points. So a positive 70. And that is my expression. So when they are asked to write an expression, it's just putting together the math sentence. When they ask us to evaluate, that means to solve the problem. So just like we've done the other ones, 200 plus 70, those are both positive. So I can add those together. That would give me 270 plus a negative 30. Now, since my signs are different, I subtract them. 270 minus 30 is going to give me 240. And the 270 is the larger absolute value. It's positive, so the answer is going to be positive. And the answer to this would be 240 points. Okay. So that is the 1.4 side, where we're just really practicing the addition and subtraction rules with integers. And here we have 2.3, where we're using the order of operations to solve with all of the operations. We're in a combination of operations, okay? So the first one is done for us, but I'll go over it. We're going to just find the value of the expression, show your work. Okay. We've got 15 plus -6 times 2. So we know the order of operations, that multiplication comes before addition. So we do the multiplication first. -6 times a +2 gives us this, -12. Then everything before that multiplication is brought down, the plus sign and the 15. And now you have a new problem. 15 plus -12. The signs are different, so you subtract the 2. 15 minus 12 equals 3, and you use the sign of the larger absolute value, which is 15. And that's positive, so it's a +3 is the answer for number 1. Okay. Number 2, we have multiplication and addition. So notice that before I start the problem, I identify what operations are in the problem so I can do them following the order of operations. So multiplication comes before addition. -5 times -5 times -3 is going to equal a +15. And I'm just going to bring down what's left in the problem. There's a +18. Okay. Now, once you bring down, the reason you want to bring down what's left in the problem is so you can always evaluate what operations you're looking at now. Here we have 2 positive numbers. Just add them and keep the sign. 15 plus 18 is 30, a +33. Number 3, we've got, again, 3 numbers. The operations I see here are division and addition. Division comes before addition, so I'm going to do the division first. 42 divided by a -6. Well, that's going to be -7. And then I'm just going to bring down the +23. And look at my new problem. It's an addition problem where my signs are different. So we subtract them and use the sign of the larger number. So you do 23 minus 7, and you're going to get 16. And since the 23 is the larger absolute value and it's positive, the answer will also be positive. For number 4 on this page, we've got addition and division in the problem. Addition and division are in the problem, so I'm going to do division first. 45 divided by a -9. A positive divided by a negative is going to give me a negative, and 45 divided by 9 is 5. Bring down the plus sign that's before and the 52. So the organization of the problem is really important to be able to see what is happening. I see that I am adding 2 numbers whose signs are different. So I will subtract them and use the sign of the larger number. 52 minus 5 is going to equal 47. The 52 is a larger absolute value and it's positive, so your answer will be positive. All right, everybody's favorite word problems. Okay, so same thing like we were doing on 2.3 my HRW. We're going to write an expression, evaluate it, and then be very careful when you enter your final answer that if it's negative, the words will represent a negative sign. So keep that in mind. All right, for number 5 was done for us. Mr. Carlisle paid his utility bills last weekend. He paid $50. Paid $50 on the phone to the phone company, $112 to the power company, and $46 to the water company. After he paid those bills, what was the change in the total amount of money that Mr. Carlisle had? So because he's paying money is coming out of his bank account or his wallet, we're going to represent those as negatives. So we've got here -50 plus a -112 plus a negative 46. That is the expression. Adding them together and getting an answer, negative 208, this is evaluating the expression. And then we provide the answer. We don't say he had negative $208. We say he had $208 less. This word less is indicating the negative that was in our answer. Okay. All right, number 6. Over 5 straight plays, a football team gained 8 yards, lost 4 yards, gained 7 yards, gained 3 yards, and lost 11 yards. What is the team's position now compared to their starting position? So I'm just going to create my expression. So they gained 8 yards. That's going to be a positive 8. Plus they lost the 4 yards, so the negative 4, excuse me. Negative 4. What happened next? I'm going to add whatever happens next. Plus 7 yards, plus 3 yards, and then plus they lost 11, so it's a negative 11. Is that all the numbers? Yes. Okay, so again, I'm going to look for the numbers and combine or add together the numbers that have the same signs first. So let's see here. I have the 7 and the 3 in the center are going to give me a 10. Those are both, I'm doing the positive numbers. So 7, positive 7, positive 3 is going to give me a positive 10, plus a positive 8. That's going to equal a positive 18. So all the positive numbers are going to give me positive 18. Sorry, guys. Okay, positive 18 for all the positive numbers. Plus, let's put together the negative numbers. Negative 4 plus a negative 11. So they're both negative. So it's going to be a negative 15 when I add them together. Okay, but just simplified it. So now I have a smaller, I'm only looking at 2 numbers that I'm adding together. Since they're different signs, I'm going to subtract them. 18 minus 15 is going to give me a 3. And I'm going to use the sign of the larger number, which is a positive for the 18. Positive 3 is my answer. And I would write this, because you know my HRW is going to ask you for a full sentence. So we would say they had a 3-yard gain. The word gain is representing my positive. I know it was a 3-yard gain. Number 7. At the grocery store, Mrs. Knight bought 4 pounds of apples for $2 per pound and 2 heads of lettuce for $1 each. She had a coupon for $3 off the price of the apples. After her purchases, what was the change in the amount of money that Mrs. Knight had? Okay. So there's a lot to really break down in this problem, so let's take a look at it. So at the grocery store, she bought 4 pounds of apples for $2 per pound. Okay, so that's 4 pounds of apples for $2 per pound. So I'm going to write that as a multiplication statement of 4 apples. And since she's losing $2 for each one, I'm going to make that a negative 2. Then it says she also bought 2 heads of lettuce for $1 each. I'm going to add that to the apples plus a multiplication of 2 times negative 1. Okay. Then she had a coupon for $3 off. So even though it says $3 off, it's like someone is walking up and giving her $3, right? A coupon, you're saving money. So I'm going to add $3 for the coupon. It's like she just found $3 on the floor right when she was getting ready to pay. So this is increasing the amount of money that she has. So we're going to write that as a positive 3. Okay, that should be everything that happened. So now we can just evaluate it. Make sure you're using the order of operations. So I should be doing multiplication before any addition. So I'm going to multiply. 4 times the negative 2 is going to give me negative 8, plus 2 times the negative 1 is going to give me this negative 2 plus 3. Okay. Now I will add anything that has the like signs. So negative 8 plus a negative 2, I'm going to write it over here, is going to give me a negative 10 plus 3 left in the problem. My signs are different, so I should subtract 10 minus 3. That's going to give me 7, and I'm going to use the sign of the larger number. That's going to be a negative 7. So my answer, when I evaluate, is negative 7, but I am going to provide the answer as a statement that says she had $7 less. Okay, so the word less is indicating the negative in my answer. All right, last one. The depth of the water in a water tank changes every time someone in the Harrison family takes a bath or does laundry. A bath lowers the water level by 4 inches. Washing a load of laundry lowers the level by 2 inches. On Monday, the Harrisons took 3 baths and washed 4 loads of laundry. By how much did the water level in the water tank change? So again, we're going to have to evaluate this carefully. When we see that repetition is happening, like 3 baths or 4 loads of laundry, we know we're going to be looking at some multiplication in there. So let's try this. So let's see here. A bath lowers it. So it's going to be a negative by 4 inches. So a bath is a negative 4. And then it says a load of laundry lowers it by 2 inches. So laundry is a negative 2. Okay, so we can use that information to help create it. Now, they took 3 baths. So the baths, there were 3 of them. Taking a bath isn't negative, but the water gets lowered by 4 inches every time they take a bath. So 3 baths, negative 4. Then laundry was done. So how many loads of laundry? 4 loads of laundry were done. And every time they do laundry, it goes down 2 inches. Okay. And that's all the information that's given. So we can complete it there. So I'm going to do multiplication before any addition. 3 times negative 4 is going to give me negative 12. Plus 4 times negative 2 is going to give me a negative 8. And I'm going to, they both have the same sign. You're just going to add them together. That's going to give me a 20. And since they're both negative, the answer will be negative 20. And the statement to provide the answer will be the water tank was 20 inches lower. All right. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, send me a message on Remind. I'll see you on Monday. Good luck on your test.